as well as Simcoe Muskoka. Toronto health officials say physicians were chosen based on several factors, including those with offices in areas with a disproportionate burden of COVID-19. Doctors will get in touch with eligible patients.
Obviously, there's the health aspect, but I'm less worried about that. I'm pretty healthy. I don't think I'd get very sick. But I want my life to get back to normal. I want to be able to travel. I don't want to have to do all the quarantines. And so if I can travel and go on a vacation, say in August or September after I get the second shot, then I'll feel confident about being able to go there and possibly come back without quarantining. And that is one of the major motivations. Also, interaction with other people will be, I'll feel more confident for their sake and for mine.
It's really a partnership with the hospital, the North York Toronto Health Partners, and public health. And, of course, there's family physicians in the area, and we're all ready to be a part of it. We just want to help. And so really it was kind of a grassroots getting on the ground, sending out emails with lists of patients. We have them in our system, so we're ready to be able to reach out to them. We have all the data that's needed, and it's just such a pleasure to be part of something like this today.
The Select family doctors are only getting a limited supply of 29,500 doses until more vaccine shipments arrive. Well, vaccines continue to be administered at pharmacies across the city as part of a pilot project. Some people are still wary of the AstraZeneca vaccine. This after some patients experienced negative reactions. The shot has been suspended from use in several European nations. Health Canada, though, is standing by the safety of that vaccine. AstraZeneca doses are being administered at more than 325 pharmacies in the 3 participating health regions. Ontario's vaccine booking website officially launches tomorrow. For more on the fight against COVID-19, let's go live to CP24's Beatrice Faisman outside St. Joseph's Healthcare, where vaccinations will continue there today. Beatrice.
Yeah, Lena, I don't know if you can see that big white tent just behind me. That's where the vaccination clinic is happening today, as well as 21 other sites right across the city of Toronto. The goal is still vaccinating those 80 and up, Indigenous adults, frontline healthcare workers, not only those who work in places like hospitals or long-term care or retirement homes, but also those in the community like dentists and their staff, for example, as well. But tomorrow, without question, that is the big day. 24 hours away now until the provincial portal goes online. This is really just the next step, and the big step at that, of the vaccination campaign. Seniors 80 and up right across this province will be able to log on tomorrow morning, sign up to get their vaccine at one of the mass vaccination sites. For example, here in Toronto, there will be 3 of them that are up and running on Wednesday, offering up jabs to anyone born in 1941 or earlier. The city actually launched its kind of version of the portal on Friday just to get a head start in booking these appointments up for Wednesday. And we know that there are thousands of people who have already signed up to, in fact, get their shot here in Toronto. Here's what the mayor tells CP24.
The registration system goes up on Monday, the provincial registration system. We put one together in the meantime that's been in use over the weekend. It will be in transition tonight, so it will not be available after 8 o'clock tonight until tomorrow morning. But the provincial system goes into effect, and I guess it's been working, well, because we've got 10,000 people since Friday that have registered, people 80 plus. And I should add, those are the people right now that are the focus of attention. Our 3 mass immunization clinics, which open next Wednesday, will be for 80 plus. The registration will be for 80 plus, with the one exception to that, of course, being the 60 to 64-year-old age group who can get the AstraZeneca injections at the pharmacies.
So Wednesday, these 3 sites that the mayor just spoke about, Metro Toronto Convention Centre, Scarborough Town Centre, and the Toronto Congress Centre, they will be a buzz full of people getting their vaccine, seniors 80 and up. We also know, Lena, the Premier, along with General Hillier, who's in charge of the province's vaccination task force, along with Health Minister Christine Elliott and Solicitor General Sylvia Jones, are all going to be speaking at 10:30 live from Queen's Park, and we will bring that to you as soon as it gets underway. Back to you.
Waiting to see what the Premier has to say. Beatrice, thanks so much for this. Well, places of worship will be opening their doors to more people starting tomorrow. The province is changing capacity limits for some events in gray lockdown regions. Weddings, funerals, and religious services will now be allowed to have 15% capacity indoors or up to 50 people outdoors. That's a change from the current limit of just 10 people indoors. The move comes after the policy saw public backlash from Toronto's Catholic Archbishop. Toronto's Mayor John Tory says the city is addressing concerns about overcrowding on city buses amid the pandemic.
What we have done, frankly, is taken buses off routes like downtown, where there just aren't as many people downtown in the office buildings because people are working from home as they were asked to do. And we put those buses on to the routes in the Northwest, and we put an extraordinary extra amount of transportation capacity on in the areas where people have been using the buses. I should point out that the bus capacity right now is up to about 40%, a little in the low 40s. And so most of the buses traveling in Toronto are traveling at about 25% capacity, which allows for very adequate physical distancing. And the same is true on the subway.
Meantime, the Ministry of Labour says it's received just one occupational illness notification from the Amazon Brampton facility that's closed because of an outbreak of COVID-19. Peel Public Health ordered that facility at 8050 Heritage Road shut down, with all workers directed to self-isolate until March 27th. The ministry visited that plant a dozen times and issued 8 orders and 2 requirements. About 5,000 employees work there. 617 have tested positive since October, but 240 have tested positive in the last few weeks. 10 cases have been confirmed as variants of concern. Amazon is appealing the order by Peel Public Health. For more on the fight against COVID-19, head to our website. That is CP24.com. Also making news, police are asking for the public's help identifying a suspect wanted in a criminal harassment investigation. Investigators, they are looking for this man. Take a look. It's alleged the suspect followed and then chased 3 girls around a park in the Dufferin and Bloor area. Now, they were able to run from that man. He is described as being in his late teens to early 20s, about 5'9", with a slim build and short black hair. Anybody with information is urged to contact police. Despite warnings of unsafe ice conditions, people are still venturing out on Lake Simcoe this weekend. An OPP helicopter, along with fire crews from Oro-Medonte, Barrie, and Ramera, responded this afternoon after 2 people who were fishing became stranded on an ice floe. They were rescued safely, but fire officials warn this is exactly why you shouldn't go out on the ice right now.
So right now, the ice is very unstable. The water currents are moving quickly underneath. The wind moves the ice around in an amazingly quick fashion, and it becomes very unstable through the course of the day with environmental heating. So when people venture out just a little bit on the ice where they think it's safe, just a little current, a little motion, and some wind, and the ice floe takes off with them, and they can't get back to shore.
Some were taking no chances with the thin ice, and they were using boats. Emergency crews responded to several calls about people stranded on different parts of Lake Simcoe. 7 people were rescued from Thora Island.
You have 1 minute to catch your breath, and then about 10 minutes before you become hypothermic. If you are able to get back up on the ice floe, the wind is going to cause you to go into hypothermia even faster. So just stay off the ice.
It is 9:10 now, +1. This is Toronto's breaking news, CP24. Organized sports will once again be allowed in Quebec. We'll tell you all about this after the break. Researchers among those which have tracked more than 300,000 versions of the COVID-19 virus. Researchers at the University of Western have developed a new web app called CovaZoo. It visually represents all of the virus mutations. The virus versions are collected into categories described as lineages. The lineage represents which mutations have a common ancestor. Organized sports will once again be allowed in Quebec starting on March 26th.
It's a first step, but it's it's a big first step, and it shows that we're going on the right path.
Quebec's Minister of Sport says the reopening of organized sports will be gradual. Games and competitions are still off limits, and players can only practice non-contact sports for the time being. Gyms in the province's red zones will also be allowed to open, but with restrictions in place. Commercial air travel in the U.S. appears to be on the upswing despite the COVID-19 pandemic. The U.S. Transportation Security Administration says its agents screened more than 1.3 million passengers at airport security checkpoints nationwide on Friday. The last time the number was that high was on March 15th, 2020. Public health officials generally have cautioned against commercial travel. The United States is inching towards 30 million COVID-19 cases. That's according to data from Johns Hopkins University. The country added nearly 62,000 new cases Saturday, bringing the total number of cases to date to more than 29.4 million. 1,991 more Americans have died from the virus, and variants of concern are also circulating in the country. Nearly 4,000 of the latest cases were confirmed to be the variant first detected in the UK. The U.S. has the highest number of COVID-19 infections and deaths worldwide. There are now more than 500,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Hungary, with daily infections hitting a record high for 3 consecutive days. That's according to local health officials. There are more than 141,000 active cases of the virus, and more than 16,000 people have died of the virus in that country so far. India's number of COVID-19 infections and deaths is reaching its highest point so far this year. That's according to its federal health ministry. There are now more than 11.3 million cases, with the death toll climbing to more than 158,000. Meantime, Pakistan has imposed a partial lockdown in its largest province amid a third wave of the virus. Affected areas of Punjab and northern Pakistan are under this partial lockdown. Punjab authorities have been fining scores of wedding halls and restaurants for violating pandemic restrictions. Officials in the capital of Islamabad, meanwhile, are warning citizens to wear face masks in public and maintain physical distancing in public as well. More than 13,500 people have died of COVID-19 in Pakistan. Italy is set to impose another nationwide lockdown as COVID-19 cases spike in that country. Half of Italy's 20 regions, which include Rome, Milan, and Venice, will enter new restrictions starting tomorrow and last until at least April the 6th. The hardest hit regions will be labeled red zones, where people will be unable to leave their homes except for work or health reasons. All non-essential shops will also be shut down. In addition, over Easter weekend, the entire country will enter the red zone and will be placed on lockdown from April 3rd to the 5th. North Carolina's Duke University has issued a quarantine order for all undergraduate students now. The school says it issued the order after a COVID-19 outbreak caused by students who went to recruitment parties. Over the past week, more than 180 positive cases were reported among students. All undergrads will be forced to stay in place until at least March 21st, and those in violation of the order face suspension. Last month's military coup at more than 70 people. Supporters of a British-Iranian woman detained for 5 years in Iran says she was back in court today on new charges. Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe was reportedly charged with spreading propaganda against Iran in a Tehran court today after being released from prison last week. Despite being allowed to remove her ankle monitor and leave house arrest after her sentence formally ended, Zaghari-Ratcliffe remains unable to fly home to her family in London. Her ordeal has sparked international outrage and strained ties between Britain and Iran. London's mayor is condemning police action at a vigil honoring Sarah Everard. Police made several arrests after hundreds of people defied COVID-19 restrictions to hold a vigil for the 33-year-old woman. The Metropolitan Police Assistant Commissioner defended the officer, saying They were faced with a very difficult decision. Everard went missing while walking home from a friend's apartment on March 3rd. Her disappearance sparked a nationwide outcry. British police officer Wayne Couzens is facing charges in her kidnapping and death. Earlier in the day, Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge, laid flowers at a London park for Everard. A memorial for the 33-year-old is still growing in size. People gathered throughout the day despite a judge ruling that a vigil would be unlawful because of pandemic restrictions. It is 9:19 now, sitting at 3 degrees. This is Toronto's breaking news. CP24 feeling a little cooler out there. Coming up right after the break, a check on your weather forecast. Stay with us for that. Remember to turn your clocks forward an hour before bed last night? Well, this is a live look at Old City Hall. Most of Canada, including Ontario, springs forward to daylight saving time, while Quebec, Yukon, Saskatchewan, and parts of BC are staying put. Aside from not having to change their clocks, these residents will also avoid health issues that can come with the time change. Experts say there's an increase in mental health issues, heart attack, stroke, even fatal car accidents in the days after the switch to daylight saving time. Sitting at 9:22, 3 degrees in this city, feeling more like -2 with the wind chill. Let's get a check on this weather forecast. You definitely want to dress for it. It's been a pretty nice weekend, but it is definitely cooler out there right now. We're slowly making our way to our daytime high. Actually, we've already hit that. 2 degrees is our daytime high. We're looking at a mostly sunny day. We were dealing with some flakes early in the morning. By tomorrow, we are a little bit cooler there. Our daytime high sitting at +1, dealing with some flakes in the evening. By Tuesday, warming up to a daytime high of 3 degrees. It'll be a sun-cloud mix. Wednesday, that's St. Paddy's Day, it'll be a little wet overnight, but look at the temperatures. Nice and mild at 7 degrees. Thursday, that active weather is sticking around. It'll be a snow-rain mix, dealing with some showers for pretty much all of Thursday. Your daytime high setting at 3 degrees. 6 for Friday. It'll begin to clear, some flakes in the afternoon. And by Saturday, that's the first day of spring. We usher in spring at 5:37 a.m. And it'll be a beautiful day, sitting at 8 degrees. Well, some TTC service interruptions to tell you about now. Line 1 is closed today between Shepherd Yonge and Bloor Yonge. That's for signal upgrades. And a reminder that starting tomorrow, Line 1 will be closed for 10 days between St. George and St. Andrew stations for tunnel improvements. Shuttle buses will be operating. 9:24, 3 degrees. This is Toronto's breaking news, CP24. The Leafs were looking to take their second straight game from the Jets last night. We've got the highlights coming up right after this. Leafs were looking to take their second straight game from the Jets last night.
Morrissey, the lone man, back.
They were trailing 1-0 in the second when Jake Muzzin scored to tie it up. The Leafs went ahead just 2 minutes later on a goal by William Nylander, but the Jets would rally to win that game 5-2. They took 2 of 3 games in the series with the Leafs. Toronto will take on the Sens tonight.
No, we just didn't have a good game. We weren't sharp mentally, weren't sharp physically, couldn't get our game going. Credit to them and how they play. They forechecked hard. They had good sticks on the puck and made it difficult on us for sure. And again, they made good on their chances. But we just weren't even close tonight with how we played.
Before the game, the Leafs paid tribute to first responders. They celebrated the Toronto paramedic. Ontario's vaccine portal officially launches tomorrow. What you need to know coming up. Vaccines continue to be given at pharmacies across the city as part of a pilot project. We'll tell you about this straight ahead. And it is time to spring forward. We got 1 less hour of sleep this morning, but the sun will stay up an hour later this evening. The details coming up. It is 9:30, 2 degrees from 299 Queen Street West. This is Toronto's breaking news, CP24. Good morning, I'm Lena Latafat.